Level 1, Fatherless Dreamer. You're 15, no license, lying under a beige 2007 Corolla your family bought with 90,000 miles on it already. And one day, the same hands that can't afford a real torque wrench tonight will get paid more for one phone call than your dad made in a month. You're broke in the specific teenage way. You spent 4 lawn mowing paychecks on coilovers off eBay and called it an investment. The car still rides like a shopping cart. Marcus from 2 doors down pulls up in his dad's 3 Series, leans out the window and says, "Cute project. My dad says front wheel drive isn't real tuning." Then he revs the BMW once, just so you hear it, and rolls off. Your dad doesn't even look up. He hands you the timing light and says, "Set it yourself. If it knocks, you went too far. If it's lazy, you didn't go far enough. You do it wrong. You do it again." At 1 a.m. it finally purrs. He wipes his hands and says, "Now it's yours." 3 weeks later, he's gone. Same driveway, same car. That BMW money runs out eventually. And the kid driving it ends up in your shop, hat in his hands, needing the kid who did the cute car project to save him. Level 2, Garage Builder. The car won't move. It sat in the garage for 2 years after the funeral, untouched, because you were 15 and broke and couldn't make yourself open the door. Now you're 17. You finally saved the money. You finally worked up the nerve. And the coilovers you ordered to do it, the ones that cost 11 Saturdays behind a mower, show up, bent in the box. One of them is tweaked, like it got run over in a warehouse. You stand there holding a $400 paperweight while the car sits on jack stands, going nowhere, same as you. So you do what every broke kid does. You learn for free. 400 hours of YouTube, guys with nicer garages explaining things at a speed that assumes you already know. You learn the words first and the feel later, which is backwards. But it's all you've got. You torque a lug down and snap a wheel stud clean off, because nobody mentioned the star pattern. $30 and a Saturday to fix a mistake the algorithm never warned you about. Then comes the intake. You bolt on a cone filter, hear the engine breathe louder under throttle, and become completely convinced you've unlocked 15 horsepower. You tell everyone, the kid at the gas station, your mom. You say noticeably faster with the confidence of a man who has never once put a car on a dyno. It's louder. That's all. 8 months from now, you'll know the difference and want to apologize to every person you said it to. Every beginner buys noise and calls it power. You are not special. You keep going because the car is the only place your dad still lives. Then you get ambitious. You try to degree a camshaft off a forum thread. You get it badly wrong, and the engine goes from running rough to not running at all. Now the Corolla isn't a project. It's a pile. Pistons on a towel, head on the bench, and a bank account that can't buy the gasket set it needs. It sits like that for 2 weeks. You're stuck, and the one man who could have walked you through it is the reason you're doing any of this. Then you open the glove box, looking for nothing. The owner's manual is in there, soft and curled. And in the back, in pencil in your dad's handwriting, are torque specs. Real ones, the book values crossed out, the numbers that actually work written beside them. Because he knew the difference and never told you. You finish the rebuild off your dead father's handwriting. You torque the head in sequence to his number with his blue-handled wrench. You set the timing the way he showed you that last night. You turn the key. It catches, stumbles, and then settles into an idle clean, even, alive. It starts. You sit in a car that goes nowhere, in a closed garage, and you don't drive it anywhere. You just listen to it run. And somewhere in the back of your head, a thought you'd never say out loud. One day this is going to mean something to people who never met him. That night a guy from a local meetup group sees a 10-second clip of your idol and messages you. That a built 1ZZ motor? That little 1.8 actually wakes up? Bring it to the lot Friday. Let's see what it does. You've rebuilt this engine 3 times alone in a garage. You've never let another human watch it run. Friday you find out if any of it was real. Level 3, Street Tuner. The lot behind the closed Costco holds 20 cars, and yours is the slowest looking thing in it by a mile. Turbo Civics with hoods that don't latch right. A Mustang that's louder than it is quick. And you, in a beige 2007 Corolla your dad bought used, idling between 2 cars worth triple yours. A guy walks past, looks at it, and genuinely asks if you're lost like you're somebody's uncle who took a wrong turn looking for the pharmacy. You almost leave. You stay because leaving would be worse. Then Marcus shows up. The BMW is his now. His dad handed it down the way your dad handed you a wrench. Except one of those inheritances came with 280 horsepower. and the other came with a funeral. He sees the Corolla. He remembers. "Oh, the grandma car actually runs now," he says, loud enough for the whole lot. "You want to roll? You shouldn't." You do. He puts 4 car lengths on you before second gear is done. It isn't a race, it's a demonstration. When you coast back, he leans out his window, takes a photo of your face, and pulls a folded dyno sheet out of his glove box, the one he carries around to flex on people. He writes your street loss under his own number in pen and hands it to you through the glass. Like a receipt, like a verdict. You don't throw it out. You fold it tighter and slide it into the glove box, next to the manual. Here's the part you'd never admit that night. Your tune is fake. A piggyback box off a forum that does one thing: dump fuel into everything and hope. You don't know your air-fuel ratio. You learn what engine knock sounds like the hard way. By hearing it, that marbles an ache and rattle that means you're one pull from a hole in a piston. For a year, your entire personality is the phrase, "It's a work in progress." Every street tuner says it. Every single one. It means I have no idea what I'm doing and I refuse to stop. Then, around midnight, the loudest car in the lot brakes. The turbo Civic that's been embarrassing everyone goes for one pull too many and pops its head gasket white steam everywhere. Coolant on the asphalt, the crowd going oh like a knockout. The owner pops the hood, stares, and has no idea what happened. He's got a laptop on the fender, a data log open, and he can't read a single line of it. You can. You scroll through his log and there it is, lean and hot all night, fuel falling off right where the boost climbs. You can't unblow his gasket. But you fix his fueling map right there so the next engine doesn't die the same way. 20 people watch a 17-year-old in a grandma car do it. He gives you $80 and a gas station sandwich. First money you ever made tuning. It tastes incredible. An older guy on the edge of the lot, 50s, grease under his nails, leaning on a beat-up Supra, watched the whole thing. He doesn't clap. He says, "The fast kids come and go. The ones who can actually read an engine? Those are the ones who get remembered." Then he gets in and leaves. You think he's just being nice to a kid. Somebody says the only way to learn this for real is on a proper dyno, and there's a shop across town that rents time. You go to watch. You don't leave for 6 months. Level 4, dyno specialist. You start by sweeping the floor. The shop has a real dyno, a Mustang dyno, rollers set into the concrete, a machine worth more than every car you've ever owned stacked together. The owner is a quiet man named Ray's who's been tuning since before you were born. He lets you hang around on one condition. Don't touch anything. You touch everything. Not the dyno, you're not stupid, but everything around it. You read over his shoulder. You watch him strap a car down, spin it up, and find horsepower in places the customer didn't know he had. And the real craft starts coming apart in front of you, the part the videos never show. The number on the screen is a liar if you don't respect heat. You learn to watch knock counts and fuel trims instead of the peak figure everyone screenshots. You learn that a car making big power on the 3rd pull is often a car about to make a very expensive noise on the 4th. One afternoon, watching Ray's chase a knock that won't show itself, it lands on you sideways. Most of the guys you used to follow online were guessing. Loud, confident, and guessing. You know, because 8 months ago you were one of them. Eventually, he lets you strap down your own Corolla. The number is embarrassing. It's a 2007 economy car. It was never going to be anything else. But the map is clean. Flat torque, no knock, fueling dead on from idle to redline. A tune with no lies in it. Ray studies the graph a second longer than he studies most. "Huh," he says. "That's actually a good map. That's the whole review. One syllable." You live off that "huh" for a month. Then he starts handing you the hard ones. The cars that fight back the stallers, the ones that idle like they're possessed, the ones 2 other shops already gave up on. A customer brings in exactly that, and you sit with the data for 3 hours and find it. A fueling fault hiding under a sensor fault hiding under somebody's earlier bad tune. You fix it. The car runs like new. He's so happy he tips you $200 and tells everyone the kid at Ray's shop saved his build. You feel like you finally arrived. Then you see the invoice. The shop charged him $1,400. You got paid shop hours, a flat rate that works out to less than the tip. Your hands, your ears, your 3 hours. The name on the paper that made the money was not your name. You don't say anything. What would you even say? It's his machine, his lease, his sign. You're the secret in the back that makes the cars run right. Nobody wrote that deal down, but it's real, and you just signed it without a pen. A few days later, a track day promoter calls the shop. He heard about the build you saved. He wants someone who can tune cars live, in the paddock, under real load and real heat, where a bad call doesn't show up next week. It shows up in turn 3 at 80 miles an hour. He offers you a spot. Then he mentions, like it's nothing, who else is registered. Marcus. Same track day. The BMW's up to 360 now. Your hands, his name, the same piece of asphalt. Finally. Level 5 track day racer. 6 a.m. in the paddock, and your entire operation is a folding table, a laptop, a scan tool, a power strip off a borrowed generator, and the beige Corolla parked between 2 enclosed trailers that cost more than the house you grew up in. The cars around you have logos. They have crews. They have guys in matching shirts who say we when they mean one rich man. You have a folding chair and a thermos. 2 spots down, Marcus unloads the BMW off a trailer while a paid tuner stands beside him with a headset on, nodding at things. Marcus catches you looking and tips an invisible hat. He doesn't need a line anymore. The trailer is the line. Then the work starts and the paddock stops mattering. By lunch, you've tuned 3 cars off that folding table. A laggy turbo Miata, a heat-soaking Civic, a WRX that kept pulling timing in the back half of the track. All 3 come back faster and more important. All 3 come back cooler, running cleaner on lap 5 than lap 1. People notice that. At a track, everyone notices the car that doesn't slow down when the others do. An old guy you don't recognize watches you work for a while. Lined face, race team jacket so faded you can't read it. When you finish a pull, he says, almost to himself, 20 years from now, kid, they'll be naming setups after you. Then he walks off before you can get a word out. You don't believe him. You're a teenager with a Corolla and a folding table. You write it down anyway on the back of your hand. Here's what the track teaches you that no dyno ever could. It humbles the loud. The big power builds, the ones that bullied the street, overheat by lap 3. They cook their fluids, hit a limp mode, trailer home early while the owners insist it was just a sensor. Meanwhile, your slow, ugly, honest little Corolla never lifts, never brakes, laps all day on the same tank of stubbornness. The fast cars get loaded back onto trailers. Yours drives home. Then the thing happens that you'll chew on for years. Marcus goes out on cold tires, gets greedy in the first corner, and spins it taps the barrier hard enough to scuff the bumper in his pride at once. His paid tuner shrugs and calls it driver error, which is what people say when they don't know what's wrong. Marcus walks to your folding table. The kid who's never needed a thing from you in his life. He won't meet your eyes, and he mumbles it. Hey, can you just look at my fueling? Quick, you could end him right here. You've got an audience, the high ground, and years of grandma car jokes loaded in the chamber. You fix it instead. Clean, quiet, no comment. Hand back his laptop with a map that won't get him killed. He doesn't say thank you. He says, it was probably fine anyway, and walks off. You add it to the list. You're starting to keep a list. By the end of the day, there's a line at your folding table. Real people, real cash waiting for the kid who tunes off a thermos. And that's when you hit the wall you didn't see coming. You're turning paying customers away. No building, no lift, no license, no second set of hands. You're a one-man legend of a 6-foot table. To go further, you have to stop being a guy who tunes cars and become a place. And every instinct your father gave you says that's exactly where they get you. Level 6, performance shop owner. The day you get the keys to your own shop, you sit in the empty bay and feel like you're going to be sick. 2 bays and an industrial strip between a cabinet maker and a place that recharges fire extinguishers. A used Mustang dyno you financed 3 years of trackside cash scraped into a down payment for a number with more zeros than your dad ever saw on a paycheck. Rent is $4,200 a month whether one car rolls through the door or none do. You park the Corolla in the corner, set your dad's wrench on the bench, and wait to feel proud. It doesn't come. The math comes instead. Because here's what nobody warns you about owning a shop. You tune cars maybe 10% of the time. The other 90% you're a small business owner who happens to own a dyno. Chasing invoices people swore they'd pay. On hold with a supplier explaining that yes, you understand the turbo's back-ordered, but the customer's car is in pieces on your lift right now. Buying shop towels in bulk. Learning that net 30 means maybe. Your first month you make less money than you made at a folding table. Then a guy shows up angry before you've touched his car. 3 shops have already failed him, and he's loud about it, promises a 1-star review the second you waste his time like the rest. Great! You take the car anyway because rent is rent. You stay until 3 in the morning with a flashlight and a meter, and you find it a melted injector connector tucked behind the manifold. The kind of thing you only catch if you're willing to put your face where nobody wants to. $8 part. You charge him for the part and 1 hour because you're new and scared and you want him to like you. He posts a 5-star review with a photo of the engine bay at sunrise. That one review brings you 8 cars in 3 weeks. And that's when it clicks you're not selling horsepower. Anybody can sell horsepower. You're selling the thing where a stranger hands you the most expensive toy he owns, and you don't make him regret it. Took a melted connector at 3 a.m. to teach you that. Then Marcus opens a shop across town. Of course he does. 6 bays, his dad's money, sponsor banners on the wall before he's tuned a single customer car. A glossy red demo build, not the old hand-me-down BMW, a separate 700 horsepower showpiece sitting in the front window like a trophy he didn't earn. And in his launch ad, his actual paid ad, there's a photo of a beige Corolla with a red slash through it. We don't tune grandma cars. 10 years old, that joke. He turned it into marketing. Undercut your tune price by half the same week. You sit with it one night. Just one. Then the phone rings, a regional time attack team. Broke, serious, fast. The kind of people who race for the trophy, not the post. They came to you specifically, they say, because the big shops only care about their follower count. They want you to build their championship car. The kind of build that makes a tuner's name permanent, the kind people remember 20 years later. There's a catch. They can't pay up front. You'd be betting an entire month of the shop's survival, unpaid, on one car, one driver, one race. The smart business move is number. The Corolla in the corner, your dad's wrench on the bench. The whole reason you started, none of it ever cared about the smart business move. You say yes. Now everything you've built rides on a car that isn't even yours. Level 7, championship builder. For 6 months you sleep in the shop more nights than you sleep at home. The time attack car eats everything. Your weekends, your savings, your patience, and slowly your regular customers because you stop answering their calls. And a guy whose oil change you keep pushing is a guy who quietly takes his business to Marcus across town. You can feel the shop's name thinning while you pour every hour into one car that isn't yours, for a team that can't pay you yet, on a bet you might lose. Your dad's wrench is in your hand for most of it. Here's what nobody tells you about building a championship car. It's not the big stuff. It's 100 tiny decisions nobody will ever see. 2 psi less boost so it lives the whole race instead of dying on the last lap. Half a degree of timing pulled for safety you'll never get credit for. At 4 in the morning, you build a duct to feed cold air to the intercooler out of a cut-up milk jug and a hose clamp, because the real part won't ship in time and the milk jug works better. The whole season might come down to a $6 clamp. Nobody puts that on a poster. Race day. Warm-up lap. The dash throws a knock code. Every instinct from the business owner in you screams, pull the timing now, run it soft, finish mid-pack, protect the engine, live to fight again. Safe, defensible. The move a sponsor would sign off on. But you don't believe the knock. You know this map, you built this map. And you hear your dad from that last night in the driveway, the night he wouldn't fix the timing and made you find it yourself. Don't mask the problem. Find the problem. So with the field forming up, you pop the hood and go looking. 4 minutes, hands shaking. And there it is. A boost line vibrated loose overnight, leaning the car out and faking a knock that was never in the cylinders. You clamp it, slam the hood. The car runs clean. Across the paddock, Marcus's shop is sponsoring the favorite, the 700 horsepower monster, the loud one, the one on everyone's prediction. And exactly like every loud car you've ever watched, it overheats under sustained load and quietly detunes itself to survive, bleeding power lap after lap just to reach the flag. Your underdog never blinks. Cool, consistent, honest. 2 psi down and a mile ahead. You take the championship by half a second. Half a second. After 6 months and a milk jug. Marcus watches the whole thing from his sponsor tent, arms crossed. He doesn't walk over. He doesn't shake your hand. By that evening, there's a quiet little rumor going around that you got lucky with the weather, that the cool track did the work, not the tune. He can't say you're not good anymore, so he says you're lucky. Same thing in a different coat. You let it go. The trophy doesn't hear him. Within a week, 2 phone calls change everything. A magazine wants to feature your shop. And a major Japanese parts brand, the one whose stickers were on the cars you worshipped as a kid, wants to fly you out and put one of your builds on the biggest stage in the tuning world, the Tokyo Auto Salon. The kind of stage where they start calling a man a master. There's only one build they want, the one in the corner. The beige 2007 Corolla your father bought used. The car he handed you the keys to one last time. The car you swore you'd make legendary back when that was a 15-year-old stupid dream. They want to put your grief on a stand under bright lights for the whole world to walk past. And you have to decide if you let them. Level 8, JDM icon. The Corolla sits on a lit stand at the Tokyo Auto Salon, and it's still beige. You kept it beige on purpose. Everyone told you to wrap it, repaint it, do something, and you left it the exact factory color it wore in your father's driveway, because the whole point was never to hide what it is. A 2007 economy car, surgical underneath, completely ordinary on top. Your name is on the placard. Men who engineered the engines you grew up worshipping walk up and shake your hand like you're one of them. You should be floating. Instead, you're learning what fame actually is in this world. It isn't money. It's everyone wanting a discount. It's a guy you've never met asking you to tune his car for the exposure. It's a sponsor who loves you right up until they want your build to match their parts catalog instead of your judgment, which is exactly the offer sitting in your inbox. A brand wants to pay you enough to cover 2 years of your shop's rent. 2 years of breathing room gone in one signature. All you have to do is swap the Corolla over to their components, parts you don't rate, parts you'd never run yourself, and smile about it on camera. Half the famous builds in this room are the least honest ones in it. Now they're asking you to join. You're actually considering it. 2 years of rent is not nothing. You're tired. Then a kid finds your booth, 17 maybe. Flew in from another country on money he clearly didn't have, just to stand in front of this car. He's not there for a discount or a selfie. He pulls out his phone, hands shaking a little, and shows you a photo of a half-finished project car in a driveway. "This was my dad's," he says. "He passed last year. I'm trying to finish it." Then he asks the only question that matters. "Does it get easier?" You don't lie to him. "No," you say. "It doesn't get easier, but it gets meaningful. That's the trade." You sign his hat. Your dad's wrench is in your pocket the whole time, the way it always is. And right there, you decide about the sponsor. You decide for the kid, not the catalog. Then you look up, and Marcus is standing at your booth. But it's not the Marcus from the driveway, or the lot, or the trailer. His shop folded over-leveraged, sponsors gone the second the wind's dried up, the 700-horsepower demo car repossessed off his own showroom floor. He's smaller than you've ever seen him. The dad's money ran out, and underneath it there was just a guy who needed it to be there. He looks at the beige Corolla on its lit stand, the grandma car, and he asks, you really asks, no joke loaded behind it, if you'd build his next car. The kid with the BMW needing the kid with the grandma car. Exactly the way you swore he would 15 years ago, before you even understood why you said it. You turn down the sponsor money that same afternoon. You keep the Corolla honest. And you tell Marcus, yes, your map, your way, your rules. Not to humiliate him, just because that's who your father built you to be. Then the show ends. The lights come down. You fly home. And for the first time in years, there's nothing on the calendar. No race, no feature, no rival to beat. Just you, an empty shop, and a beige car your dad handed you the keys to one last time. You sit there in the quiet and finally ask yourself what all of it was even for. Level 9, Legendary Master Tuner. A weekday with nothing booked. The front lights are off. The Corolla is up on the lift, and your dad's blue-handled wrench is in your hand. You came up from a slab of cardboard in a driveway. Now you stand in a building with your own name on the front of it, looking up at the first car you ever swore you'd make legendary, and it turns out you did. They call you a master now. You still feel like the kid who can't drive yet. You think about the people you came up with. One sold his shop to a private equity group. He tunes spreadsheets now and calls it winning. And maybe it is. One burned out chasing horsepower clout, made 100 angry videos, then disappeared. Ray's is retired, finally. And he still texts you a thumbs up every time the beige car shows up in a magazine. Huh, he writes. Just that. You live off it for a day every time. Then there's Marcus. You built his car. Clean, honest, exactly the way your father would have, no lies in the map, nothing for the cameras, every decision the right one instead of the loud one. He drives it a week. Then he comes back, parks it, and sits in your shop a long time before he says anything. When he finally talks, it's the thing he couldn't get out at 15. It's better than mine ever was, he says. Best car I've ever driven. You reach into the Corolla's glove box and pull out the dyno slip. The one from the Costco lot, the better part of 20 years folded, his number across the top, your scrawled number underneath. You hand it to him. Keep it, you say. That's the reason I'm any good. He looks at it. He understands. The wound closes, finally, from both sides. Somewhere in the last few years, you stopped keeping that list of everything he ever did to you. You can't say when. You just noticed one day that it was gone, and you didn't miss it. There's a collector who's messaged you twice now, offering a number for the Corolla that would be genuinely stupid to turn down. A beige economy car that means nothing to him and everything to you. You turn it down without thinking. Instead, you take out the soft, curled owner's manual. Your father's torque specs are still in the back, in pencil. In his handwriting, the numbers that brought this engine back when you were 17 and stuck in grieving. Under his notes, you write your own. In pencil. For whoever ends up with this car after you're the one who's gone. Then you bring it down off the lift and drive it out of your own shop, alone, at night. The grandma car. The inheritance. The joke in Marcus's ad. The most famous build in the country, idling clean down an empty street with your dad's wrench on the passenger seat, where he used to sit. You made grown men fly across the world to watch you work. You never once had to stop being the kid under that car in the driveway to do it. That was always the whole job. If you like this story, subscribe for more.